Have you ever looked around your life and wondered how you ended up here doing everything right, yet feeling invisible? Do you wake up, drive to work, smile when expected, only to feel that quiet ache inside your chest? The one that whispers, "This can't be it." You followed the rules, didn't you? You worked hard, stayed polite, waited your turn, and somehow the world still stepped over you. It's not failure that hurts. It's realizing you traded your fire for approval. That's the hidden tragedy of the modern age. People don't starve for food anymore. They starve for power, for self-respect, for the right to speak without asking first. But there comes a day when something inside you breaks quietly, almost politely. You stop seeking permission. You stop explaining why you want more. You stop apologizing for being intense, ambitious, relentless. That's the moment you wake up not in rebellion but in clarity. The world doesn't reward the obedient. It rewards the strategic. You start seeing the pattern mediocrity as a system built to keep you grateful for crumbs while others feast. And that's when you understand the first revolution is not in the streets, it's in your mind. So take this as your sign. The old version of you is dying quietly behind a desk somewhere. Let it. Because what's waiting to be born isn't another worker, it's a ruler, a person who no longer begs for fortune but commands it. Stay here, learn the laws of power, and watch what happens when you finally stop asking and start building. Subscribe not for me, for the part of you that's been waiting to wake up. How many times have you bitten your tongue just to keep the peace? How often have you smiled when you wanted to scream, agreed when you wanted to walk away, or laughed at a joke that wasn't funny just to stay liked? You call it kindness, but deep down, you know it's fear. Fear of losing approval, of being the outcast, of no longer being the good one. You've spent your whole life auditioning for acceptance, trying to prove you're worthy of belonging. But here's the truth. No one dares to tell you. Approval is the softest form of control. The more you chase it, the smaller you become. You see, the world doesn't respect people who beg to be seen. It respects those who can disappear without asking. Every compliment you depend on is a leash. Every time you need someone's validation to breathe, you give them your oxygen. You start editing yourself to fit in, and in the process, you erase yourself. And one morning you wake up realizing you've built a life that looks perfect on the outside but feels like suffocation on the inside. That's not peace, that's imprisonment with nice furniture. But here's the escape: stop trying to be liked. Be understood by the few and feared by the rest. When you stop performing, something incredible happens. The right people recognize you, the wrong ones vanish, and your silence becomes magnetic. You don't need to beg for attention when you've built presence. So stay here. Learn the art of power. Learn how to walk away without losing yourself. Subscribe not to me, but to your own awakening. Because the version of you that no longer craves approval is the one the world can no longer control. How many times have you apologized for things that weren't your fault? How many times have you lowered your voice, softened your opinions, or made yourself small just to make others comfortable? You call it being polite, but deep down you know it's something else. It's submission disguised as kindness. You've built a habit of shrinking. Every sorry you didn't need to say carved a little piece out of your spine until standing tall started to feel wrong. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that humility meant silence, that decency meant obedience. But it didn't make you noble, it made you invisible. And here's the truth that stings. Weakness feels safe only until it starts costing you your dignity. The more you hide, the more you're ignored. The more you explain, the less you're respected. People don't follow those who ask for permission. They follow those who speak as if they already have it. You've spent your life defending your right to exist when all along you were meant to command it. The difference between being overlooked and being respected isn't luck, it's posture. The moment you stop apologizing for your presence, the world adjusts to it. So take this as your turning point. Stop whispering your worth. Stop asking to be chosen. You are not the supporting role in someone else's story. You are the author rewriting your own. Let your silence carry more authority than their noise. And if you're ready to reclaim the power you've been giving away one apology at a time, stay here. Subscribe. Because this is where the quiet ones stop bowing and start building empires. Have you ever noticed how your own mind turns against you? How you wake up already tired, not from what you've done, but from what you've been thinking? You tell yourself you're overthinking, but it's deeper than that. You're at war with yourself. One voice pushes you forward, another drags you back. One whispers that you're meant for more, the other laughs and says, "Who do you think you are?" You look calm on the outside, but inside there's chaos, 1,000 unspoken fears fighting for control. And the worst part, you've started believing that this storm is normal. But here's the truth. Most people never face, you will never conquer the world if you cannot first conquer your own mind. Every undisciplined thought is an open gate to fear. Every time you indulge self-doubt, you hand the keys of your kingdom to weakness. You can't lead your life if your emotions are the ones leading you. Discipline isn't punishment, it's protection. It's the act of reclaiming your throne from the noise in your head. When you learn to govern your thoughts, your focus sharpens, your decisions become final, and your confidence stops depending on mood or motivation. You don't need to silence every voice inside you, you just need to decide which one speaks last. The day your inner chaos learns to kneel is the day your outer world begins to obey. So take this moment seriously. The battle isn't out there, it's in here. Train your mind like a soldier, command it like a general. And if you're ready to reclaim your inner court and rule it with clarity and power, stay here. Subscribe. Because the war within you ends where self-mastery begins. Have you ever looked around and realized that everyone you spend time with talks about everything except growth? That your friends once dreamed big, but now only gossip, complain, and call it realism? You sit there half listening, half dying inside, wondering when ambition became a crime. You share an idea, and they smirk. You mention a goal, and they say, "Be careful." They don't hate you, they fear what you remind them of. Because your desire for more exposes their surrender. And so they'll laugh, they'll doubt, they'll drag you back to their comfort zone, not out of malice, but out of self-preservation. Mediocrity always protects itself. It's a slow poison, this comfort of belonging to people who no longer fight for anything. You tell yourself you're loyal, that you don't want to outgrow them. But the truth is, staying small, so others won't feel insecure, isn't loyalty, it's self-betrayal. Every hour you spend explaining your ambition to those who've already given up is an hour stolen from your future. Evolution demands betrayal not of people, but of patterns. You cannot reach new heights while clinging to old hands. You weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to break formation. If the people around you make you feel guilty for wanting more, you're in the wrong room. Let them stay where they are. You have kingdoms to build. Walk away without apology, and you'll find others walking the same path, quiet, hungry, unstoppable. And when you do remember this, you didn't lose them. You found yourself. Stay here. Learn to master detachment, discipline, and destiny. Subscribe not to impress anyone, but to finally step into the version of you that no longer asks for permission to rise. Have you ever felt the silence after you walk away from everyone? The kind that's so heavy it almost feels like grief. Have you ever sat alone scrolling through old conversations, realizing the people who once felt like family don't even ask where you've gone? It hurts, doesn't it? That quiet space between who you were and who you're becoming. The world doesn't warn you that growth is exile. When you decide to rise, you lose the crowd. When you choose purpose, you lose comfort. And suddenly you start to question if freedom is worth the loneliness. But here's the truth. Most never learn. Solitude is not punishment. It's purification. It's the furnace that burns away everything that isn't essential. The noise fades, and for the first time you can hear your own voice. You notice how much of your old life was built on distraction, how often you used company to avoid confrontation with yourself. The loneliness isn't the enemy, it's the test. It asks one question: can you stand alone long enough to become someone no one else can break? This is where transformation begins, not when others believe in you, but when their disbelief no longer matters. Let the silence shape you. Let the solitude sharpen you, because every king was once a man who learned to walk alone, and every empire was built in seasons when no one was watching. So if you're in that quiet space right now, don't run from it. Stay, build in it, master it. Because this is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of your reign. Stay here and subscribe because the next lesson is how to turn exile into evolution. Have you ever wondered why some people seem born to win while others spend their lives observing from the sidelines? Why certain names echo through history while others vanish forgotten no matter how hard they tried? You tell yourself they got lucky or they had connections. But deep down, you know it's not luck. It's understanding. They studied the game while everyone else was just playing it. You were told to work hard. They were busy learning how power actually moves. And that's the brutal truth. Life doesn't reward effort. It rewards strategy. You start to see it now, don't you? Every successful person is a living blueprint. Their confidence, their posture, the way they speak, it's all calculated. They've mastered the psychology of presence. Meanwhile, the rest of the world scrolls, complains, imitates without understanding. But power isn't copied, it's decoded. You can't become what you don't study. That's why most people never rise. They refuse to learn from those who already did. Pride keeps them stuck where humility could have made them great. So study the powerful. Observe their moves like a strategist, not a fan. Learn their habits, their patience, their silence. Don't worship them, reverse engineer them. Because when you stop admiring and start analyzing, you cross the line between spectator and contender. You start thinking in patterns, not emotions. And that's when the world begins to bend in your favor. Watch closely, take notes, and remember what you understand you can eventually outperform. Stay here, keep learning, keep sharpening your mind. Subscribe not to follow, but to prepare for the moment when you're no longer watching kings, but becoming one. Have you ever felt that unbearable tension between who you are and who you know you could be? That quiet frustration of knowing exactly what needs to be done, yet still hesitating, overthinking, waiting for the right time. You call it fear of failure, but it's deeper than that. It's fear of responsibility. Because the moment you decide to rise, there's no one left to blame. No more excuses, no more hiding behind circumstance. You become accountable for the empire you build or destroy. And that truth terrifies people more than failure ever could. But here's the shift, the one that separates the powerless from the strategic. At some point, you stop waiting for motivation and start building systems. You stop chasing inspiration and start creating structure. Your life turns from reaction to design. Every decision becomes deliberate, every action a calculated strike. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start asking, how do I make it work? That's when everything changes. You go from drifting to directing, from hoping to executing, from being a passenger to becoming the architect of your own fate. This is the moment when movement replaces emotion. You plan, you schedule, you track, you attack. And slowly the fog lifts because clarity doesn't come before action, it comes from action. That's how power is built, one precise move at a time. So stop waiting for the perfect conditions, they'll never come. Start designing your ascent piece by piece with the discipline of a strategist and the patience of a ruler. And if you're ready to stop watching life happen and start constructing it with your own hands, stay here. Subscribe because what comes next is how to turn direction into domination. Have you ever felt exhausted even when you've done nothing wrong? That kind of fatigue that doesn't come from working too hard, but from giving too much of yourself to people and things that don't deserve it. You tell yourself, you're just busy. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not tired from effort. You're tired from leakage. You leak energy into pointless arguments, empty, scrolling fake friendships and invisible battles inside your head. You've become available to everyone and accountable to nothing. You're surviving, not building. And the most dangerous part, you've convinced yourself that being drained is normal. But energy is currency, and you've been spending it like it's infinite. Every thought, every reaction, every distraction is a withdrawal from your future. The powerful understand this. They don't guard their money more than their attention. They know that what you feed grows, and what you starve dies. That's why they live intentionally fewer people, fewer problems, fewer pointless words. They operate like investors, not consumers, because when your energy is scattered, your potential is fragmented. Focus is your fortress, and distraction is the enemy at your gates. So here's your turning point. Start budgeting your energy the way you wish you'd budgeted your time years ago. Cut off what doesn't multiply you. Eliminate what doesn't evolve you. The peace you're chasing isn't found, it's protected. When your energy becomes precise, your life becomes powerful. So guard your attention like treasure. Build your boundaries like walls. And if you're ready to stop leaking power and start compounding it, stay here. Subscribe not for escape, but for discipline. Because the next lesson is how to turn your focus into a weapon of fortune. How many times have you played it safe and called it being smart? How many opportunities have you watched slip by because you were too busy waiting for certainty? You tell yourself you're being careful, being responsible, but deep down, you know you're hiding. Every dream you delayed turned into a ghost that now follows you in silence. You replay moments in your mind, the business you never started, the words you never said, the move you never made, and you tell yourself next time. But here's the truth. Next time never comes for those who worship comfort. Safety is a slow death disguised as logic. Every person you admire once stood where you are now, terrified, broke, uncertain. The difference is they jumped while you calculated. They acted while you analyzed. They understood that risk isn't recklessness, it's the price of evolution. You can't create a new life while protecting the old one. You can't demand transformation and also demand guarantees. Risk is the currency of power. The weak see it as danger. The strong see it as leverage. When you bet on yourself, you force destiny to respond. That's how revolutions begin, not with resources, but with resolve. So here's your moment. Stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I never try?" Fear is a liar dressed as logic. The only real risk is staying the same. Fortune doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards movement. So move. Take the step. Make the call. Place the bet. Even if your hands shake, do it anyway. And if you're ready to trade fear for fire and comfort for control, stay here. Subscribe, because the next lesson will teach you how to turn risk into the foundation of unstoppable power. Have you ever walked into a room and felt small? Not because anyone said you didn't belong, but because something inside you whispered it. Have you ever looked around and thought these people are different? As if power was something reserved for a secret class you were never invited to join. That's the lie most people live and die believing, that power has a gatekeeper. It doesn't. It has an entry fee: courage. The powerful aren't chosen, they're self-declared. The rooms where wealth, opportunity, and influence circulate are not closed, they're expensive. And the price isn't always money. It's confidence, preparation, and the willingness to walk in before you feel ready. You see, every room has energy. The weak enter needing approval. The powerful enter with purpose. The difference isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You belong anywhere you can bring value, but most people never test that truth. They hesitate, they doubt, they watch from the door while others make connections that change their lives. What they call imposter syndrome is just evidence that you've entered a level where your comfort no longer fits. That's progress, not punishment. So here's your shift stop, waiting to be invited. Invite yourself. Learn how to speak the language of confidence, not by shouting, but by standing still. Listen before you talk. Observe how the powerful move not to imitate, but to integrate. And the moment you stop trying to be noticed and start acting like you already belong, the room bends toward you. That's how presence becomes power. So stay here. Learn how to enter any space with dominance, precision, and calm. Subscribe, because the next lesson will teach you how silence, posture, and timing can open doors louder than any words ever could. Have you ever said too much and instantly regretted it? Have you ever tried to prove your worth with words, only to feel smaller after explaining yourself? You talk to fill the silence, but the silence is where power lives. You were raised to believe communication is connection, but no one told you that overexposure is weakness. Every word you release is a piece of leverage you give away. The powerful know this. They listen longer, speak slower, and reveal almost nothing. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's control. And control is the one language the world still respects. Most people talk because they're uncomfortable with being misunderstood. They want to be clear, to be accepted. But power doesn't need clarity, it needs mystery. When you speak less, people project their own stories onto you, and that's how influence begins. The loud are predictable, the quiet are dangerous. You don't win respect by being the most talkative in the room, you win it by being the one no one can quite figure out. The less they know, the more they assume, and assumption builds fear faster than truth ever could. So train yourself to speak only when strategy demands it. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Observe how others rush to fill the quiet they expose their insecurity, their motives, their weaknesses. Meanwhile, you sit still gathering information and power. Remember, kings don't argue, they decide. You don't have to explain your vision to those too small to see it. Let them wonder, let them talk, and while they're making noise, you'll be making moves. Stay here and subscribe, because the next lesson will show you how to weaponize silence until even your absence commands attention. Have you ever noticed how the world listens to those who barely speak, yet ignores the ones who beg to be heard? Have you ever wondered why some people can say one sentence and move a room, while you explain everything and still feel invisible? The truth is, it's not what you say, it's how you make people feel when you say it. Most people communicate to be understood. The powerful communicate to be remembered. You've spent your life trying to convince when you should have been learning to persuade. That's the invisible line between the average and the influential. Persuasion isn't manipulation, it's alignment. It's seeing what others desire and positioning yourself as the bridge to it. You can't lead anyone who doesn't first believe you understand them. The secret isn't shouting louder, it's speaking directly to the quiet desperation behind their eyes. People don't buy products, ideas, or even truth, they buy confidence. They buy certainty. And you can't fake that. It's built through conviction. The uncommitted voice trembles, but the convicted one commands. When you truly believe in what you're saying, your tone shifts, your words tighten, and your presence becomes magnetic. You don't need to sell harder, you need to believe deeper. Influence begins when your words carry the weight of lived experience. You're not just talking, you're transferring emotion, authority, and energy. That's how movements begin, with one voice that refuses to tremble. So stop hiding behind logic. Start leading with truth. Learn the language of conviction, because persuasion is the currency of empires. And if you're ready to turn your words into weapons and your message into momentum, stay here. Subscribe, because the next lesson will show you how to make people follow, not because they have to, but because they want to. Have you ever felt like you're working endlessly but not moving anywhere? Like you're always busy, always tired, yet somehow stuck in the same place? You call it hard work, but deep down you know it's chaos disguised as effort. You don't lack ambition. You lack precision. Most people spend their lives chasing momentum without direction, mistaking movement for progress. They set goals that sound noble, but never define what success actually looks like. And that's why they never find it. Because you can't hit a target you refuse to measure. The truth is, power isn't emotional, it's mathematical. Every empire, every fortune, every transformation is built on numbers. Hours, habits, returns, results. Discipline is nothing but devotion measured daily. You can't control luck, but you can control ratios, inputs, outputs, consistency. That's how you build predictable power. While others chase motivation, the rulers track metrics. They know exactly what to repeat and what to remove. They don't pray for change, they calculate it. When you quantify your goals, you strip away illusion and expose reality. It's humbling at first, but freeing forever. Because numbers don't lie, only comfort does. So here's your test. Define your metrics for domination. How much do you need to earn, learn, grow each week? Track it. Refine it. Rule it. The world doesn't reward effort. It rewards accuracy. You're not failing, you're unmeasured. And the moment you start treating your dream like an equation instead of a wish, you become unstoppable. Don't drown in vague ambition, architect your ascent with precision. Stay here and subscribe, because the next lesson will teach you how to turn those numbers into leverage, and leverage into lasting power. Have you ever noticed how success makes people soft? How the moment you finally feel comfortable, your fire starts to fade. You tell yourself you're just taking a break, but deep down, you know you're slowing down because you're safe. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you've earned the right to relax, to coast, to stop pushing. But that's how hunger dies, not with failure, but with satisfaction. The most dangerous place you can live isn't in poverty or struggle, it's in comfort. Because comfort kills urgency, and urgency is what builds empires. You used to wake up hungry. You used to chase results like your life depended on them. But now you have a routine, a paycheck, maybe even a little recognition. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that growth doesn't come from ease. You forgot that greatness is built in discomfort. The powerful never let themselves go numb. They feed on the tension between where they are and where they want to be. That gap isn't frustration, it's fuel. The second you stop feeling that fire, you start dying slowly, wrapped in routine, smiling at your own stagnation. So ignite it again. Reclaim the hunger that built you. Remember how it felt to want something so badly you couldn't sleep. That's not desperation, it's purpose. Every legend you admire learned to stay starving even when full. Because the moment you stop chasing improvement, the world replaces you with someone who still is. Stay sharp, stay restless, stay alive. And if you're ready to turn your hunger into dominance, to never let comfort seduce you again, stay here. Subscribe. Because the next lesson will teach you how to turn that hunger into legacy. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to finally arrive, to stop chasing, stop proving, stop needing to be seen? Have you ever imagined what true power feels like when it's quiet, not loud, when it no longer needs to announce itself? You've spent years building, fighting, sacrificing. You've lost people, burned bridges, and rebuilt yourself from the ashes. And somewhere along the way, you realize something profound. The throne was never out there, it was always within you. You don't become powerful when the world recognizes you. You become powerful when you no longer need it to. Most people mistake crowns for validation. They think leadership means attention, that success means visibility. But the highest form of authority isn't in being worshipped, it's in being unbothered. You've reached the point where peace is more expensive than applause. You no longer react to noise. You study it. You no longer chase fortune. You direct it. That's sovereignty, the moment when you understand that control isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself so completely that nothing external can shake you. You don't move to impress. You move with intention. You don't need permission anymore. You are the permission. So take a deep breath and look around. The old version of you that begged for validation no longer exists. What stands in its place is a ruler, calm, deliberate, and untouchable. This is not the end of your journey. It's the coronation of your becoming. You've earned silence. You've earned command. You've earned peace. Stay here, because what comes next is no longer about building power, it's about keeping it. Subscribe not for ambition but for mastery, because the final lesson of the prince is becoming the king